It's plenty to talk about on this Tuesday, January 10th. And welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report. I'm Courtney Hicks.
And I'm Nicordelai Corte. We are honored to stand right here behind this desk each day to take you on a journey across Black America and the stories that impact our people.
We're going to bring you our news, our views, and our voice. Let's tap into today's top headline. Police in Boston are looking for a missing teen last seen leaving his home Saturday afternoon. Police say 13-year-old Jamari Norwood was reported missing around 6 p.m. Sunday. He is described as a light-skinned black male, about 5'4", with a skinny build. Norwood was last seen wearing a black sweatshirt and sweatpants, Nike sneakers with black, green, and white colors. Police also say Norwood is known to frequent the South Bay Shopping Center in Dorchester, for those soulmates familiar with the area. Now, anyone with information is asked to call the number you see here on your screen.
In Dallas, a 12-year-old boy is safe and back home with his family after being reported missing for days. Dallas police tell us that 12-year-old Kylon Speed was initially reported missing on January 9th, now last seen by family in the area of Southwest Moreland Road. However, police report this morning that the boy has been found safe. We would not elaborate on where the child was located or where they had been.
A supporter of former President Donald Trump and member of the political commentator duo known as Diamond and Silk has died on Monday. Trump announced the death of Lynette "Diamond" Hardaway on his Truth Social platform. The official Diamond and Silk Twitter account later confirmed the news, writing, quote, "The world just lost a trust angel and warrior patriot for freedom, love, and humanity." Trump went on to say Hardaway died at her home in North Carolina and called the death, quote, "really bad news for Republicans and frankly all Americans." Her cause of death was not immediately shared. Hardaway was 51.
There are new reports that the son of Antonio Armstrong, who played for the Miami Dolphins, will be going to trial for the third time for the murder of his mother and father. The son, Antonio A.J. Armstrong Jr., is accused of killing his parents while they slept in their Houston home back in 2016. A.J. says he's innocent, but remains charged following 2 criminal trials that have both ended with hung juries, and says the biggest change of his life was becoming a dad. A.J. says he's been on house arrest for over 1,700 days.
And unfortunately, we have another tragic story in Memphis as a teen is in police custody after shooting and killing his father in front of police officers. Now, according to reports, police were called to their home on January 7th, where they found 18-year-old Ramarian Baker and his father kneeling on the ground as if they were fighting. Now, one of the officers on scene witnessed the son shoot his father 3 times and then place the gun to his own head. Officers managed to get the gun away from Baker and take him into custody. No word on a possible motive. Baker has been charged with second-degree murder.
A community is in mourning and demanding answers in Los Angeles after the relative of a Black Lives Matter founder is dead following an encounter with police. In an Instagram post, Patrisse Cullors, author and co-founder of Black Lives Matter, revealed to her followers that her cousin, Keenan Anderson, was killed by LAPD on January 3rd. Anderson is the father of a young boy and an educator who taught English. According to the LAPD, a traffic cop encountered Anderson running in the middle of the street and exhibiting erratic behavior. That's when officers used a taser, body weight, firm grips, and joint locks on Anderson shortly before he died. He died after going into cardiac arrest. The LAPD didn't release a public statement acknowledging the death until 3 days later. Cullors says Keenan deserves to be alive right now. His child deserves to be raised by his father. What a tragic story coming out of Los Angeles, and a reminder of what led to the founding of Black Lives Matter in the first place. You know, when that first hashtag, hit social media, it was inspired, by Trayvon Martin's case and what felt like a lack of justice there, but it was also a clarion call to, all of the officer involved arrests and shootings and, fatal encounters that have started very similarly to the way that Patrisse Cullors' cousin's encounter with LAPD started. There's still so many more details to come out, but that's just what's been shared thus far.
Yeah, and as we circle back around to that collection, if you will, of stories stemming, just tragic stories stemming from family, it sounds like some mental illness there, some family dysfunction, and it really taps into the whole need to continue to tap in as family members, as the village, and maybe in some cases, maybe kind of force or barge your way in to some sort of knowing and understanding of what really might be happening in these family dynamics. It's a complete breakdown, and my hope and my prayer is that as we continue in this new year, we'll be better able to support and manage and identify when families and individuals who are parts of families are in crisis, because it's unfortunately, you know, it's this kind of a fallout that we continue to hear about.
Yeah, and it's also a reminder that just because somebody's displaying erratic behavior, like that shouldn't lead to somebody's death, right? And you know, yes, officers need to do what they need to do, but in doing that, it shouldn't mean, you know, that loss of life happens. And so whether it's, you know, using the taser or shooting first and ask questions later, you know, that's a part of what the movement has been about. And so we'll continue to keep our eye on this story as it develops. But now off to Georgia, where if at first you don't succeed, try again. That's the motto of Stacey Abrams following her second defeat against Georgia Governor Brian Kemp. During her appearance on the Drew Barrymore show, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams revealed her intentions to run for political office again. On the show, the topic she focused on was her voter initiatives. When asked what's next, Abrams responded with, "I will likely run again," as the audience exploded into cheers. However, Abrams admitted she didn't know when she'd run again, but says it'll happen.
Oh, wow, that's still big news. All right, sticking with politics for a minute, House Republicans passed a rules package for the new 118th Congress. What's included? We're going to tell you. More barriers to raise the debt limit. No more proxy voting, meaning it must be done in person from the House floor. There are also changes coming to the Ethics Committee, implementing term limits for board members and allowing complaints from the public, soulmates like us. The rules package also allows a single member to launch a vote to oust McCarthy from his speakership role. Some Republicans say they expect that rule to go unused.
While Biden continues his North American Leaders Summit in Mexico, documents marked as classified were recovered from a D.C. office used by the then vice president before leaving the Obama administration. And it didn't take long for Republicans to slam the president for his mishandling, which occurs months after the FBI raided the home of former President Donald Trump. Now, the documents have already been seized by the National Archives and are being investigated by a special counsel. Chicago-based U.S. Attorney John Lausch, who is a holdover from the Trump administration, will now lead this investigation.
If you are looking for a miracle, I think we got one for you. It's a sign of remarkable progress for Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin. He is back in Buffalo after going into cardiac arrest and having to be resuscitated on the field during a Monday Night Football game in Cincinnati. Hamlin says he's grateful for the awesome care he received at UCMC and is happy to be home. He also says the doctors and nurses at Buffalo General have already made him feel at home, and he's already had a visit from his head coach, Sean McDermott. That is a wonderful story. That miracle continues to happen. I love how you coined that just the other day, because it is definitely a miracle. I mean, this technically he lost his life from what we gather a couple of times, maybe once on the field. I don't know if it was during transportation or at the hospital, but the expertise of the medical staff, as Hamlin mentioned, and then just, you know, God's will, and also his youth, and the fact that these athletes are in tip-top condition. These are the best of the best. And so if there's going to be an injury, even though this is unprecedented, you would think they'd be able to come back, as a lot of them have when it comes to broken bones and bruises and things of that nature, and then the support of their medical personnel that they have from team to team. But this is something a little different. And so it leads into that whole idea of a miracle, and his work here on earth in this physical form obviously is not done.
Yeah, and it's a really good opportunity, for, the NFL. I mean, we're not talking about a lot of other issues that the NFL is having to work with, but this is a demonstration of what it looks like for everybody to rally around him and support him. I know the people of Buffalo are hanging in there with Hamlin and are also hoping for a Super Bowl.
Come on now, you know they are.
They're looking for some good news coming out of Buffalo.
Right.
Buffalo's been in the headlines, quite a bit in 2022.
That's right.
From the mass shooting at Tops Grocery Store in Buffalo to the deep freeze, as you mentioned.
That took dozens of lives.
Yeah, and so it's great to see some good news, coming out of Buffalo, and we absolutely wish him a speedy recovery.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, convenient but risky. That's how a Milwaukee woman describes an app many of us have right here on our phones and say we all should be careful before using these easy payment methods. Fox's Jenna Sachs has the story.
It was like 2:30 in the morning, and my phone just started dinging, like an alert. $200, $200, $200 is coming out of my account.
Karen Brimley Massey lost more than $2,000 through an app she thought would make life easier.
For my daughters to conveniently send them money.
More than 3/4 of Americans have used a payment app or website at least once, like PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle. For Karen, it was Cash App.
If I tell my story, hopefully other people will too.
Karen says a hacker created fake Cash App profiles using her daughter's names and pictures, then transferred Karen's money into the scam accounts.
They didn't spell their names right. There were pictures like they pulled like from Facebook or something.
After draining her Cash App account, Karen says the scammer went after her savings account linked to the app. She tried to get her money back, but Cash App said this transaction was authorized by you or someone you authorized. Your dispute has been closed.
I absolutely did not authorize it.
That issue of trust is one of the major reasons why people say they forego using these at all.
Monica Anderson of the Pew Research Center says 1/3 of payment app or site users report little or no confidence their personal information is being kept safe from hackers. And 13% of users say they've sent money to a scammer.
I am not saying that do not use these apps. I am saying the following. Use these apps in a secure way.
Khaled Sabha at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee says payment apps are convenient and fast, but come with risk. Money transferred in error is usually gone for good. Before authorizing a transaction, double-check the recipient is exactly who you think it is. Log out when you're done using the app and connect your account to a credit card instead of a bank account, even though the app may charge a fee.
Credit card companies have better fraud protection.
Cash App sent us a link to its support page, which has tips like only sending money to people you trust and double-checking the recipient's information.
There is no safety net. There is nothing to protect you.
Karen, meanwhile, is closing her Cash App account.
With this generation, easy is better, but easy is not better.
Now, surprise, surprise, it appears Cash App reopened her case, but Brimley Massey says her last email to Cash App went unanswered. And so many good tips coming out of this report here. Make sure to connect your credit card and not your account. I'm going to go back and check my apps to make sure that that's the case. I know that I typically link to my credit card. The trust factor really is important here. I'm sure the folks that are listening at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau are going to pay a little extra close attention to this because, this is new. All the apps, whether we're talking about Cash App or Venmo, but the ability to be able to transfer cash outside of, a traditional checking or checking account or banking account. This is still relatively new, and so it's important that we stay on the lookout, not just around the holidays, but every day.
But here's the thing, it's relatively new, but this is what institutions are pushing. This is what technology is pushing. You can't even get a hold of a customer rep via Cash App, if I'm not mistaken. So I have a tendency to lean towards those that are established via a bank like Zelle. You can get a hold to a human via Apple Pay. And for me, and for some soulmates who either don't have a credit card or don't have that option to use a credit card, then we have to lean back in on the trust factor. And a lot of times when I use Cash App, I'm making sure I'm standing right in front of the person. I've got my phone. Is this you? And just, over verify that you're sending it to the right person, because I've just unfortunately heard some horror stories more associated with Cash App because there's not that support, as the lady in the package alluded to, not that much support to help when something does go wrong. So they want us to use these things. It's more convenient. They make money off of it. They have to be very, very vigilant, even more so to make sure we're secure.
It's another example, trust but verify.
That's right. Still ahead, a wrong move from Walmart that they're now trying to make good on.
That's right. We're going to tell you the latest racial mistake the major retailer has made. You're watching Fox Soul's Black Report. We'll be right back.